Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm Jed Brown, your host for this week's episode, and today we're bringing you all the way to Barbados in this very special episode. Last week, myself and Kevin were kindly invited over to Barbados by the wonderful team at Barbados Tourism so that we could experience the low season on the island for ourselves. We had to fit in quite a lot, but we recorded our thoughts on our first impressions just before our meal at the fabulous Cabane Restaurant right on the beachfront. This is part one of our overview, and we'll be releasing a lot more content which we recorded in the coming weeks. Have a listen and let us know what you think. Enjoy. So hey everybody, cheers from Barbados. Cheers.
Cheers.
So good.
That is good.
So here we are in Cabane, which is a fabulous restaurant right on the beachfront. It is literally on the beach, so it's all sand. If you come here, I think it's okay to wear shorts and flip-flops, and it's lovely. This is our third night.
We're just trying to work out how long we've been here. It's our third night, yeah.
So we have been very graciously hosted by our good friends at Barbados Tourism Marketing. And we've had a pretty full-on couple of days. On the first day, we did the Jeep Safari, which was very bumpy.
Bumpy.
Very good. It was not for the faint-hearted. Really recommended. Great way to see the whole island and get a good picture. The guide, we had Ken.
Ken was amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. He was first class. Really knowledgeable. Really passionate about Barbados. That's what really came across. Proud
to be Barbados.
Yeah, and Bayesian, exactly. And proud of his country, which was fabulous. We got to see the west coast, which is the rugged
coast,
rugged Atlantic coast. Wonderful breeze that came off.
Amazing scenery.
Amazing scenery, absolutely lovely. And I must point out, that was our first day, and it rained a little bit in the morning, and it does tend to rain a bit in the mornings during this low season of June. But it doesn't rain for long,
And you dry off so fast.
Yeah, you really do. As soon as the rain stops, the sun comes out, and yet you have the very weird feeling. We had it a few times of it's raining and sunshine at the same time. It's quite strange, actually.
Ken called it liquid sun.
Liquid sunshine. It's weird. Like I say, you feel the heat of the sun on you, but it is raining, and it's not unpleasant either. So don't be put off by the rainfall during the low seasons. Definitely not. It doesn't rain for very long, and it doesn't detract from the experience in the slightest. So we did the Jeep Safari. Highly recommended. And like I say, if you have the driver, Ken, he's an absolute legend. I think we're going to be meeting up with Ken again at Oystons, which is the very famous place to eat fish, and everybody gathers there. All the locals gather, and it'll be a lot of fun. So that's on Friday. That's tomorrow evening.
When he's not driving, I don't know how many drinks he's going to have. I think it's going to be a major party.
I'd say he's a wild one. So then that takes us to yesterday. What did we do yesterday?
Oh my God, we did so many things yesterday. So we started off. Was it yesterday the cave tour?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, the cabin.
Harrison's Cave.
Yeah.
Yep.
Harrison's Cave and the whole. So you got the caverns, but then you had the zip wire and the adventure playground and a ton of stuff going on. And the cabin was really impressive.
Yeah, it's worth seeing. You go down to the bottom of this cave, all the stalactites, stalagmites. The guide we had, Hyacinth, she was incredibly knowledgeable. Again, very proud.
32 years she'd been there doing that.
32 years doing it, and she said she's noticed quite a few changes. They've tried to make it a lot more family friendly recently. So they've got this kind of not assault course, but adventure playground. It's like Go Ape in the UK, if you're familiar with that. Zip wires and all of that, and it looks like they've made a really good job of it actually. And again, the beauty was, of course, with it being the low season, really quiet. Hardly anybody there, and it was great. No queues or lines or anything.
And there was an excellent video before you went into the cavern, which explained about the origin of Barbados and how it was formed from the two tectonic plates hitting and then the sediment and coming up and then coral forming. Really, really well done.
Yeah, it was interesting. They were saying how every other island in the Caribbean sort of chain, they're all volcanic apart from Barbados. Barbados doesn't sit on the Caribbean plate, so the reason that those islands are Caribbean islands is because they sit on the Caribbean plate. Barbados kind of straddles both the Caribbean plate and the Atlantic plate, and it was the result of those two plates coming together that pushed up Barbados. But it's not volcanic at all, and that was quite interesting. So strictly speaking, it's not a Caribbean island. Strictly speaking,
well, they do use the word Caribbean a lot.
They do. After Harrison's Cave, we went to Walker's Reserve, right?
Walker's Reserve. Now that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Micah, who showed us around, she was so passionate about all the conservation
really
work they're doing. Rebuilding the mangroves and everything.
The whole project there at Walker's Reserve, and really well worth a visit if you get a chance, is it used to be sand mines. So they were mining the sand and they used it for cement and everything else. And the sand is starting to run out, so then the owners were thinking, what do we do now with it? So they're redeveloping it and they're introducing indigenous plant species and everything else. It's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. You get to plant a tree, which will really help, and they're doing a campaign which is plant a tree for every Barbadian person on the island as well, which is really great.
283,000,
something like that. Yeah, don't quote us on that in case we got it wrong. But really, really great piece of nature. It's over to more towards on the west side, the sort of the area known as Scotland, randomly.
Scotland, the region. It looks a bit bumpy like Scotland. I
suppose. It does.
Green. Very green at the moment, anyway.
But beautiful, and it's a really nice. It's something that you'd be proud to sort of contribute towards as well. It's that meaningful tourism where it's not taking away from the place, but you're supporting all of their efforts. You're giving it back, exactly that. So that was very cool. After Walker's,
fish pot for lunch.
Fish pot. We did a live from Fish Pot. So if you've been following us on Facebook, in particular, you'll know that we did a live from the Fish Pot. One of the nicest restaurants, I think, on the island, on a lovely stretch of beach. So the location is perfect, and we all know location. The food was absolutely...
And the Rum Punch was one of the best.
It wasn't cheap, we'll stress that.
Today.
So for a meal for the two of us, 3-course meal, including rum punches, and we had maybe 2 each. It was, we worked it out in UK, it was probably about 160 quid.
Yeah, I think so.
160 quid. I would say really good value for money, actually.
If you want a nice special meal, it's a good place to go. I wouldn't go there every night because, I'd love to go there every night, but it's a bit expensive.
If you go during the day, actually our sister went June last year, with her husband, and they stayed in a hotel called the Little Good Harbour. It's done by Kiwoni. I'm sure it's done by others as well. I'm not favouring Kiwoni here. But that's directly opposite, and it's owned by the same people as the Fish Pot. And if you stay there, you would have your breakfast at the Fish Pot if it's breakfast inclusive. And they were saying that they would go there for lunch. They'd take their swimming trunks with them, and then at the end of lunch and having a rum punch or whatever, they would then go, and there's a little jetty, and you can run and jump off into the ocean. And
it looks so good. I just wished I had my swimming trunks with me yesterday.
Again, if we'd have known, if we'd have had the heads up, we would have brought our swimming trunks and a towel and gone off the end of that. But again, highly recommend it for your clients, for you yourselves. It's a wonderful spot, and somewhere I'd love to go back to, and I can understand why it's a lot of people's favourite place to go for a lunch. After the Fish Pot,
well, we came back to the hotel, chilled a little bit, had a bit of a swim, cool off.
Yep.
And then we went to Worthing Square.
Again, we did a live from Worthing Square, if you caught it. Fabulous spot where you've got a number of different concessions. So it's all open air, lighting a little bit like this, very subtle kind of lighting. A DJ playing some kind of chilled out tunes, and about 15 different concessions. Where you had pizza, Indian, what else? Mount Gay rum stall.
Mount Gay rum stall, for sure, more rum cocktails.
Pig's tails.
I've never had this before. Barbecue pig's tails.
Yeah, they were good.
Very much like barbecued ribs.
Yeah.
Jerk chicken.
The Jamaican stand, that was tremendous.
There was so much food.
There was loads. But I will say, we went around with a guy called Sasha, who's the owner of the whole area and the founder of it. And it was only founded about 2 or 3 years ago. And he wanted to do something different and support local businesses, especially with the pandemic being on. And he went round and he made sure that we had a little bit of food from each one of these concessionaries. And they were all amazing. The pizza in particular It's an American guy who runs it. I've forgotten his name. I'm embarrassed now. Lovely guy. We were having a few slaggings on the whole British-American thing. But a lovely guy, but the pizza was sensational.
I mean, that's the best pizza I've ever had.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. And the roti, the Indian roti was phenomenal.
So flavourful.
Phenomenal.
Tandoori roti,
yeah. Very good. Highly recommended, but again, I think I would say that we were the only ones who were non-Bayesian that were there, which was lovely. And it's very family friendly, very safe, very inexpensive when you're there. But again, you're supporting local Bayesian businesses, and that's what we kind of loved about that place. Apart from that, the fact that it's just such a lovely chilled out vibe. And we had a few rum punches like you do, and it just felt great. And I was speaking to a number of different Bayesians that were around about. There was a lad in a Liverpool shirt, obviously had a bit of a talk about football, but it was just a lovely feel to the place, and again, highly recommended. And I would imagine there's not many, especially if you've been to Barbados before, you might not have been there, Worthing Square, but definitely if you come back, go to Worthing Square, support those local businesses. You'll have a wonderful evening anyway, and it's quite affordable, so it's quite different to this like Cabane. I'm sure this is going to be an expensive deal. I don't think it's going to be cheap, but it's a wonderful looking place. We haven't had our meal yet, we've just had the cocktails. So that was taking us up to yesterday. Today we
had a nice swim first of all, and
nice
the water was really clear. And I'd just like to
beautiful.
say, we talked about the weather, it has not rained a single time today, which has been great. It's been a bit too hot actually.
Yeah, it's been lovely. I saw a few turtles.
Yeah.
Because just off where we're staying, which is the Southern Palms Hotel, lovely property.
Very laid back, easy going.
Laid back, easy going. It's not upmarket at all, but it's very unpretentious. It is what it is, and it's lovely. It's got a great character. But if you're expecting 5-star, that it ain't. But the location is perfect, and it's in St Lawrence Gap, which is where all of the activity is. We haven't been out and got Lawrence Gap yet. We
Sunday night.
We will, and we'll bring you footage from there as well.
So then we went to the Eco Lodge this morning.
Yeah, now that's wonderful. So again, we took enough footage to get a really nice video, which we'll share with you guys. We'll stick it on YouTube. A lot of us think of Barbados as 5-star luxury kind of properties. This is very, very different to that. It's I think they said they have 16.
I think between the rooms, and then they had like standalone, like little cottage type things, which all look fantastic. They were really done out well. You've got like 4-poster beds with mosquito nets around.
Yeah, very nicely done, very tastefully done, very cool, very chic. They all had a little sort of outside area where they've got a hammock. And lovely breezes, because it's on the west of the island. You get this lovely breeze, which in this heat, let me tell you, you appreciate the breeze. Lovely. They were saying that they get an awful lot of digital nomads, so people that are booking there for weeks at a time, where they can work.
Somebody for like 6 months.
6 months, yeah. Which what a place to work from.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought this was pretty cool as well. They're really doing a drive to take direct bookings rather than through the likes of Booking.com. And I'm not knocking Booking.com. Well, I kind of am, actually. But they look at direct bookings. They do work with the trade as well, which is great. But the starting price is about 160 US per night, which I would say represents really good value for money.
Oh, it's an amazing place. And at the moment, again, low season, they've got specials and deals, and you can get they've got an amazing restaurant which they're bringing the locals to, and now the locals are discovering this place that they didn't know existed through the restaurant.
And that was interesting. Through the lockdown, they were saying they've been getting more locals because they weren't having the international tourists. But a super cool place. Everything highly sustainable. They've got solar panels there which power all of the heating, the heating of the water, etc. They're working on getting 100% sustainable energy sources. But everything about it's all done with responsible practices at mind. And you can look on their website, look on their Facebook. It's called the Eco Resort Lodge. Eco Lodge. Yeah, wonderful. We'll be sharing all about it. So again, if you follow us, you'll see the videos about it as well. But a great spot. After Eco Lodge, we went to Hamilton. Hamilton, right. Notice how agitated I get now when we talk about Hamilton. This guy's an absolute legend. So Hamilton's pottery Don't ask me where it's located, but again, we'll put it all up online.
Even our taxi driver had never been there.
He'd never been there before. Really hard to find. He's based in the middle of nowhere, or as he said, the middle of everywhere. It's in among all very lush sort of vegetation, a lot of fruit trees and everything else going on. But this guy set up about 45 years ago. He went to Venice and he saw the glassmakers, and he decided that he wanted to start to work with pottery. So that's what he does, and that's what he's done ever since. And he talked us through all of the process of creating the different works that he does, and it was just sensational. The whole story, you know, he talks us through the clay, how they make the clay, how they, you know, bash it down and make it into this plasticine-like material which you expect. And then he threw some clay for us, and he wet it, and he showed us, he said, I'm going to make a jug for you, and he made the jug, and we've got all of this on film, so we'll be sharing this with you guys. The guy is so charismatic. Yeah. He's a true Bajan, very, very humble, which is very much a characteristic of the Bajan people, actually, and quite sort of rare. I think possibly it's to do with the British background. We're speaking to Ronnie about that.
Yeah.
The British influence, but very, very humble. But the guy's, he's an absolute legend. And when you watch him create these works, and he does it relatively quickly, effortlessly. You can tell he's an utter professional.
Oh yeah,
utter professional. So wonderful guy, and we videoed the whole thing all the way through, and he's just a delight. Look out for that YouTube video when we release it. You'll be really impressed. We bought a few works as well. Highly recommend that you go and see him and support what he's doing. Again, he's a Bajan guy, working with all Bajan materials, trying to do his little bit for Barbados, and he's part of the unique culture and heritage of the island, and he's a true artisan, and he's a true gentleman. He's a lovely man.
We learned so much about pottery and how the colour comes from the glaze.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Painted.
Never knew that. I thought it was painted. The colour comes from the glaze. You were saying how, you know, to get a green tint, you add it was like a little bit of copper.
Copper, yeah.
It was a copper sort of base, and
cobalt
for the blue.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah. Utterly fascinating. Like I say, when we share the video, I promise you, you'll absolutely you'll be spellbound by it. Wonderful. So if ever you get the chance on that one, he's a great guy. After that,
we went for lunch.
I'm trying
to remember the name of the place. That. Cove Bay, was it?
It was in the middle of nowhere. It was lovely, very rustic is the word, isn't it?
Yeah, very like locally.
Very,
You wouldn't see many
this was not a tourist place
at
all. And there was only Bajans who were in there. But a wonderful spot.
Yeah, the food was good. You had the pasta alfredo.
Pasta alfredo with the shrimp. It was gorgeous. You had.
I had the
mahi mahi, was it, or something like that?
No, it wasn't. It was a billy fish, I think it was called. I've not heard of it before. But it was very tasty, very good.
Yeah.
And a little bit of corn with it.
Corn. After lunch, we went to.
We went to the Bank Museum.
Yes.
Central Bank Museum, which is interesting. It's about like the history of money and coinage and notes for Barbados, but not only. And then upstairs they've got a whole thing about education and the schoolrooms, and a lot about
Masons.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Masonic traditions, which was quite surprising.
Yeah, it's kind of not what you expected. I was just thinking, what the heck? Why? Masons must have been big in Barbados. I think that's what we kind of got. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. It would have been better if we'd have had somebody showing us around to talk us through it. We were just left to our own devices. But it was interesting.
It's very interactive because there's little things like turn this over and see what goes on. Again, I took a bit of footage. We'll see how it comes out. But it would be good for kids, I think.
It would. For me, it could only be better if someone would talk you through it and really bring it to life for you. I think that's what it's missing, is an organised kind of tour.
But then, speaking of talking through things, after that we went to Golden Square and had an amazing chat with Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie's a legend. So Ronnie's on the board of Barbados Tourism Marketing organisation. He's a lovely guy, very knowledgeable. And we sat down with him in Golden Square. Golden Square is like the square that celebrates the independence of Barbados. There is a wall at Golden Square. So Golden Square itself, it's not what I imagined. I don't know what you imagined.
Basically, I was looking at the note. They demolished a building a couple of years back. It's quite recent, and they decided to make it into this independent square, but it's there's nothing there really.
There's nothing, yeah.
There's
a lot of seats. It's very good for what they call, if you're familiar with it in the Caribbean, liming. A lot of people lime. Are you familiar with that term?
No.
Liming. Liming. It's not just here, but in the Caribbean, it's just basically just chilling and hanging out.
Okay.
And liming's a really popular pastime.
I think I'm an almost an expert limer already.
But that's what everyone's doing. Everyone's just sort of liming around there. But what they do have there is a wall which they created a few years ago, which has got, on every brick, it's got a surname of somebody who helped build Barbados and create Barbados. And the society that it is today.
And we were very disappointed to not be able to find the name brand.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised actually.
And Ronnie was saying that it must be there. I said, I haven't found it at all.
See it.
So we met up with Ronnie, and it was great because Ronnie's he's a super cool guy, but again very humble, very Bayesian actually. But he was just talking us through a little bit about how he got interested in tourism, why tourism is so important to him, why he's passionate about responsible tourism, photography. He got very much into. Super interesting guy. We've met up with him every night so far, and I think we're possibly meeting up with him this evening.
Tonight,
Should be here this evening as well. So that was lovely as well. And then we came back to the hotel, and that's basically, and now we're here
having another cocktail.
La Cabane, having another cocktail. And this place looks pretty special. Very, very romantic. They've got a live band playing. I say a live band, it's two guys. A lot of sort of candlelit dinners. It'd be lovely on a sunset. And so again, depending on the time of year, sunsets now about sort of 10 past, quarter past 6.
Just a little bit too late.
We're just a bit too late for it. But you'll have noticed even while we've been recording this, the light has changed behind us.
Yeah.
So the sea is behind us. But hopefully you'll have gained some appreciation. But that's it. So far, the whole aim of this is to show you the reality of the low season. We see the low lead-in prices and we wonder, yeah, but is it the crap time of the year to go?
It is amazing.
It's phenomenal.
I would, and there are so few people. You can walk into restaurants like this one, and you don't need to have had a booking. You'll get a table. Whereas, the fish pot, they were saying,
Fish pot, they said that.
You had to book a week in advance. You'd have to book before you leave the UK
to get a reservation.
To get a table in the high season.
True.
At the hotel, it's nice and quiet. The beaches are quiet. I would never come here in the high season, and it'd be too hot.
Yeah, I think the only reason people would come in the high season is because they're trying to run away from the English weather. If your main purpose for travel is you want to understand a little bit of a different culture and really get under the skin of the destination at a time when the locals have got time for you. June, July, August. That's a great time to be here. You also have the crop over festival, which kind of runs for weeks. It's very strange.
It's like a harvest festival.
Like a harvest festival, but it keeps running, and it culminates in the crop over, the end of the crop over, which is in August, which would be kind of cool. But no, overall, it's got a lovely feel to it. You wouldn't be put off at all. Low season, whatever. I mean, if you find through your local travel agent a lead-in price that's super low, and you see that it's in June or July or August, and you're thinking, oh well, it's the low season. Honestly, don't be put off by it. It's a wonderful experience. I would say in many ways a better experience, but then I would say that.
And then I would also say, because of that, if you can, come for 2 weeks. There is so much to see. I mean, we have been non-stop since we arrived, and we've got a packed itinerary till we leave. And even then, there are so many things we hear about. Oh, I want to see. I'd love to see that. So
that's the hard part.
Yeah.
The hard part with this, again, there's a lot of people, family and otherwise, that sort of say, oh, you guys have got a great job. You're going out there. It's really full on, and it is lovely, and it is fun, and it's great discovering these places. And it's my first time in Barbados. It's your first time in Barbados. But it's very full on, and you are just left thinking, oh my God, I'd love just to have one more week where we could do it actually, at more of our own pace, and really let it sort of all sink in a little bit more. But it probably won't sink in everything that we've done until we get back in the UK after 3 or 4 days.
But I mean, I will definitely come back here. I'd love to come back with my wife and take her to some of these places, and I think she'd love it. And I will definitely come in the low season because it's for the best prices.
Yeah, 100%. So anyway, that's it. That was slightly longer than we planned for. It was on spec while we were waiting for
Our host.
I shouldn't say this, but the CEO of Visit Barbados, who he's not late, he is late actually.
Barbados time, baby.
Barbados time, yeah. So look, we'll leave it there for now, but thank you very much for watching this. Hope you found it interesting. If you've got any questions or comments or recommendations, in fact, for Barbados, do let us know. We'll get this posted up. By the time we post this up, we'll probably be back, although maybe I'll get it posted tomorrow. It depends on the Wi-Fi. That's what I will say about Southern Palms. Fabulous property. The Wi-Fi, I'm sorry, it's not good enough for me. But that's it for now. Very much a cheers from La Cabane, and we'll see you next time. So there you have it. Watch out for part 2, which we'll release next week, as well as more interviews and videos coming online shortly. The low season experience really is absolutely wonderful in Barbados during the summer, and I can tell you that there are some amazing deals out there, so do check with your local travel agent. We're currently working on issue 2 of the Low Season Traveller magazine, and we're looking for your low season stories. Have you had any amazing experiences whilst visiting destinations during their low seasons? Perhaps you've had an amazing local interaction which just would not have been possible in the busy peak season. Let us know your story by dropping us a line at editor@lowseasontraveller.com, and you may well find yourself in the next edition of Low Season Traveller magazine, and indeed a guest on this very show. But that's our show for this week. Thanks as always for your company, and if you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean the world to us if you could leave us a positive review on your podcast app. We know that there are over 50,000 of you out there all over the world, and it would make our day to have a good review. Think of it as your good deed for the day, where you are truly making our small team really happy. Have a great week wherever you are. Stay healthy, stay safe, keep your travel dreams alive, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn to be the first to hear our latest low season stories and guides. Finally, remember that travel is always better and fairer for the planet, the local communities, and you the travellers, when it's without the crowds.